Welcome on to the next episode of Up. And we have got another awesome guest, and he's no stranger to our podcast. He's been on a couple of times, also joined us at our Aches and Pains party, Post-Comrades 2025. And it's an absolute pleasure to welcome the Minister of Champions onto the podcast once again, Rory Petzer. Nice to catch up. As we were recording this, we got on, and I saw a glimpse of skin on your arm, and I nearly fell off my chair because you're wearing short sleeve shirts in the middle of winter. But you are in Durbs. Winter is relative, isn't it?
No, well, in Durban it's also freezing cold. Please, it's really, really cold. Yeah, dropped down to I think 14 degrees yesterday. So we're struggling. I live in Upper Highway, like Hillcrest area, dropped to about 11 or 12, eh? So we are struggling. Electric blankets are on, the heaters are on, gas heaters, also scrambling to buy.
We're sending thoughts and prayers, Rory. That's what we are doing for you. For KZN, it is tough. I know it's like if it gets even close to single figures, and just so that our international listeners know, we're talking Celsius here, not Fahrenheit, because that's we just want to clear this up. It's weird, Rory. I would think with the amount of hills you guys have got in Durban and Pietermaritzburg, between Durban and Pietermaritzburg, you guys would be a little bit tougher. But obviously, we give you the hills and we ease up on the weather. That's sort of how it works in KZN.
100%. The cold, we don't do the cold. Yeah, if it ever drops to single figures, we're not leaving the house. Like, we're phoning in sick, we're not doing anything. If it drops to single figures, yeah, that's it. Nothing's going to happen. We'll stand still. Everything just freezes. Literally, we freeze. We don't move. We don't do anything.
Or you should just move. Find somewhere else where it's a little bit warmer. Like Florida in the US is probably an option, but maybe you can go and join the farmers. Who knows? Maybe we should try. Anyway, Rory, enough of the nonsense. It's a few weeks post-Comrades. How's the body feeling?
At the moment, really, really good. So I don't know when to start running again. So after Comrades Marathon, I got really sick for like a week. Really, really sick. My body was run down and over it and tired and just done. But now, like, my feet are getting itchy again. And I don't know, like I really want to run again. So I might run again tomorrow morning, which is Saturday morning. I might do few kilometers and see how it goes. I might also put running shoes on and go, this is a really bad idea. What am I doing? I might take 2 steps and go, this is terrible. You just run like 91 kilometers. But I'm feeling that itch again, man. Like, I need to. Otherwise, what happens? Last year, what happened to me is I didn't run, then I didn't run, then I didn't run, then I didn't run. Then it was December. I was like, oh no. Then it was like first week of January. I was like, oh no. Then it's really, really hard to start running after 6 months of doing nothing. So I think the sooner, the better. So let's say tomorrow I'll go for a run. Yes.
Good. Yeah, and Rory, I don't know about you, but like when I'm tapering, I just can't stop eating. So I like exchange running for eating, and then afterwards I don't taper the eating. I just keep eating. So if I don't run, it does become a massive problem because I'm unfortunate, I guess, in the sense that if I look at food, I put on weight. I don't even have to eat it. So I definitely have to run to sort of try and keep the weight off. And even then, it's a struggle. So easing back in, I think, is the way to go. I'm going to ask you this question. Have you got anything planned? Races? Like I was telling you that I slipped and fell the other night, and I fell onto my MacBook Pro. And when I got up, I realized I had entered a half marathon. It's like so weird.
That's... The worst thing about this story is that you got me. Like, I was listening, you tripped and fell, and like landed on your MacBook. It's like, oh no, did the MacBook break? And like, oh no, I entered a half. It's like, oh. But I do have a marathon in mind, which I'm going to do. It's in Namibia. I think it's the Walvis Bay or Swakop Point, one of those. On the 4th of October, I think it is. That's what I'm training towards. Well, I say training, but when I start tomorrow or the next day.
Thinking about running. That's it.
Yeah,
so
that's a good start. It's when you start thinking about it.
You got to get the mental side of it right first. That's exactly. Rory, we had a brief chat on our podcast, the sort of Aches and Pains Post-Comrades podcast, but obviously it was still, Comrades was very raw still. It was the day after, and I don't know about you, but it takes me a little bit of time to process what happens on a day like Comrades because there is just so much. So I'm going to ask you this question, like a few weeks post now that the dust has settled and you've managed to separate yourself a little bit. Are you happy with the way your Comrades went? What are some of the things that went right? What are some of the things that you think you need to improve on next time out?
So, looking back, I thought it was a really, really terrible day. On the day, I thought, this is terrible. Like, I'm doing really badly. I'm struggling. I'm not doing well enough. And then I went back and looked at my stats, and my pace was actually like 4 seconds a kilometer faster than the previous year. But it's those extra kilometers at the end which really got to us, because I think I ran 8 last year, and then 7:55 a kilometer this year, which was faster. So it was extra 4 or 5 kilometers. I clocked 91 on the day. And but I think I was horribly undertrained, which was really, really bad. I hadn't run properly in like a month or 6 weeks. So I was feeling it. Horribly undertrained. My confidence was down because I was undertrained as well. I got there thinking, yo, is this really a good idea? You haven't run properly in like 6 weeks. So I got so busy and I just stopped running. Like, I don't know why. I was really bad. And then, but on the day, I struggled all day long. And I think when I saw Lindsay Perry with like, I think 17 or something Ks to go, and he said, Rory, you have to go, keep going, like 8 minutes K, whatever. I was like, oh, this has really been a bad day, because I've never ever in my whole life reached, in 3 Comrades finishes, I've never ever been struggled at the end. It's always been an easy thing at the end. It's easy. I can walk 2Ks, walk 3Ks, walk 5Ks. I'm going to make this thing easily. This year was the first one ever where I was stressing, like I have to push, and I must say, for the last 10 kilometers, I hated myself. I was hating it. I was hurting everywhere. Things were pulling funny. I was stiff. I was cramping. So no, not the best day out at the office. But I'm going to blame, it was a little bit hotter, and I'm going to blame myself because I was undertrained. Like I can't use the heat as the excuse that it was hotter, and that I was undertrained, really, really undertrained. Not enough kilometers done, and not enough kilometers done leading up to it. I think to taper for 6 weeks isn't the best idea. You shouldn't be tapering for 6 weeks. And by tapering, I mean like nothing, like just nothing, like sitting for 6 weeks. So that was a really bad idea, but got the medal at the end. Look, here it is.
Yeah.
Still wearing it. I don't take it off, by the way. I just wear it all the time.
Yeah, it's funny, Rory.
I know what I did wrong this year.
No, you can't actually see mine, but I've got mine here too. So don't you worry.
Everything froze there for a second. I have no idea what you said.
No, I said I've got mine here too.
Oh, so yes.
There you go.
Nice.
Mine now lives on my mic stand, which is good.
Yeah, you got to see it, man. It's got to keep you inspired all the time. Mine lives on my car seat because I do videos in my car. So whenever I need it, I'll just grab it, put it on for a video. So it lives right next to me all the time. So it's there. I see it. My car seat is actually, it's a mess. So my car seat is basically, like my car is my studio. So on my car seat next to me, I've got a Springbok jersey, a South African flag, a Faf Brook, a Comrades medal, I think a Two Oceans medal. There's a flag there. There's the Faf Brook. There's about 5 or 6 things on my passenger seat, which is basically my wardrobe for my act. So then what am I doing today? Oh, there's also a Bafana shirt there that lives there as well. So everything just lives there. I should probably wash these things one day. Like one day.
Eventually.
Yeah, they need to be.
Rory, tell me a little bit about sort of what went right on race day. Obviously, you spoke about being under time pressure, and when you saw Lindsay with about 17 Ks to go, you knew you had a hustle. But some things that maybe you tried something different this year that worked well, something that you go, you know what, cool. Like that experience was good. I'm going to do that again.
So what really worked, I think use the word experience, which is exactly what I had. I had experience. And someone also said, we did the route tester, and then someone said to me after the route tester, they said, Rory, you can see you've been running for a long time now, because route tester, 40 odd Ks in, you came flying past us. And you were looking really, really good, because I taught myself to hold back. So what I really did well this year is I held back. Like I didn't panic in the beginning, because all the times I haven't finished Comrades twice. So twice I haven't finished. And both times I panicked. I started panicking, running in Changa, running Drummond. You can't do that stuff. So I wasn't panicking. I was looking at my watch. Okay, you've got time. And then all of a sudden I didn't have time. But it was the thing where I didn't panic. I don't panic anymore when I run. I know what I'm going to do. I know the strategy, 8 minutes, okay. I know where to walk. And I've done that route so many times now that I know that I can walk here and not panic later. I can run here and not panic later. Also, which really worked for me this year, is my nutrition was fine. I didn't once feel like I was feeling weak or shaky or dizzy, which in previous years, even when I finished, sometimes I felt a bit dizzy or like stop and eat something. But this year I kept eating every 45 minutes or so. I kept eating. That really helped me a lot. My hydration was perfect this year. I think salt intake was good. I chow about 6 or 7 salt sachets. I keep them in my pocket. I just chow them all the way. I don't know if that's wrong or right, but I chow salt all the time. So that kept me going as well. But I think the most important thing, even with my undertraining, if I was undertrained this time and hadn't run any Comrades marathon, I wouldn't have finished. It was the experience that got me through. Like, don't panic. You can do this. Don't panic. Even when you got like 7:50 to do a kilometer towards the end, it's like, you can do this. Like, don't panic. In previous years, if Lindsay said to me 17 Ks to go, Rory, you got to move, I'd have been like, oh no, and then sprinted 4 Ks and then fallen over. Now I was like, no, you've got 17 Ks, which means you've got 17 opportunities now and then look at my watch. Okay, you run 1 kilometer at 7:10. Can I banked 50 seconds? That's fine. If there's a hill there, use that 50 seconds on this hill. So all those little things that go into your head that you only get from experience. So I think the experience got me through this year, because the training wasn't great, but in previous years I wouldn't have finished, I think, without the experience that I had.
It's so funny. It's so funny you say that, Rory, because like for me, that was probably the biggest thing out of this year. And it's been 12 years since I ran my last one. So I felt like a novice going back into it this year. And I wasn't sure if I was going to remember parts of the route, because even though I'd gone down year after year, we tend to go to the same spot. So where the Coach Parry team was in Westville, as an example, we always there on the down run. On the up run, we sort of near Umlaas Road. So there's 1 or 2 spots that I sort of remember as a spectator, but I didn't remember much of the route as a runner. And it was just amazing how even after 12 years, there was so much familiarity on the route. And it's so true what you say, that you go, okay, cool, I know where to walk. Like, I'm going to run this a little bit. It might be tough, but there's a tougher point coming, and I'm going to save my walk for there. And those sorts of things you only get by running the race. And this is probably for the novices, because I made the same mistake, particularly my first one, is I panicked very early, and I went a little bit too hard too soon, and then I blew up. And in having that experience, I now know, like, and particularly that stretch from the bottom, from Drummond, basically up both to those 3 bumps that you go up. Like, my first one, I felt horrific going up there, and I was like, I can't do this. This is just too hard. And then when I ran the down 2 years later, I felt the same way, but I was like, oh, this is normal. You're supposed to feel that way here. And then not that I felt bad there this year, but when I went up that stretch this year, I remembered that, and I was like, you know what? If you go through a bad patch, it's normal. You will come right. So you can't buy that experience, unfortunately. And for the novices, the only way you get that is by running Comrades. And I get where people talk about doing these massive long runs, doing like 70K long runs in one day. You might be getting distance in, but you're not getting Comrades experience in. Like, you can't simulate that for Comrades other than doing it at Comrades, and it takes. So you kind of have to pay your school fees at Comrades. So it's just so interesting hearing you say that. Rory, are you going back next year? I know you said at the Aches and Pains party that you love Comrades, and Comrades is such a big part of your life now. Are you up? Are you in for the up next year?
100%. I can't wait already. Like 100%. The thing is, you can't explain Comrades Marathon to anybody that hasn't done it or hasn't spectated it. You have to live that thing to know how flippin' fantastic it is from the moment you arrive at the start. It's like a whole day. Like I always explain, the whole day. You feel like you see Akolisi running onto the field for the Springboks all day long. It's just the vibe, the gees, the South Africanism of it. Like, you know what? It's worth every single second of training and all the blood, sweat, and tears, all the tears on the routes, all the times you think you're going to die. That Comrades Marathon, you can't explain to anyone who hasn't done it. Like, it's just a thing, man. It gets into you and you can't not do it. So touch wood, next year I will be there for the up run, and then for the big one the following year as well. Another thing I also learned on this route, on this time to do, it's probably old news for most people, but if I'm really struggling and I'm panicking with like 30 Ks to go, then I look around for people, look at the numbers on the things, like people who have done like green numbers or higher, or even like 7 or 8. I'm like, okay, stick with that person. They know what they're doing. They finished this thing like 8 times. They know what they're doing. If they're walking here, it's fine. You can walk here. Just do what they do. So that helps me along the route as well. Looking at the people, it's very helpful to see the numbers, actually. It's very clever. I don't know why. I don't know if that's why they put the numbers on there, but it's really clever to know how many people. If you see a 0, you're like, I'm not following this person. This is not a good person to watch. No. There's an 11. Perfect. Okay, the 11 is there. I'll just keep that 11 in sight. So also learned that this year. Look at the numbers on the race numbers. How many have they run? Follow the people who've run a lot and hope for the best. Sometimes you might have run 11 and not finish your 12th one. Who knows? But you hope for the best. You follow someone who's done a lot, double figures.
Or it's taken you 32 attempts to get to your 11. That is also, they don't put the attempts on the number.
Oh,
they should maybe do that as well.
That's so true. They should say, because mine would then say, now it would say, 4 out of 6. Yes, I should say 4. People know, don't follow that guy.
Maybe they should have a percentage, Rory, because I don't want to, like, maybe they should just go, this dude's a 33%er, so stay away from him. This guy's a 96%, follow him.
I'm going to write to Comrades Marathon Association. We need the percentages on the race on the race numbers. We have to see a percentage so you know who to follow, who not to follow. Look at us changing the world. Yeah, we're just
Exactly. Rory, I'm
brilliant.
going to switch tack here. I want to talk stand-up comedy. And
Yes. Okay.
it's funny. One thing I love about Comrades is doing hard things. And I think everybody needs to challenge themselves to do something hard. And Comrades is definitely that. So we're preaching to the choir on this
Yes.
podcast. Everybody who listens to this does hard things. But hard things come in different wrappers. And I think, like, as I'm getting older, like, I obviously come from a radio background, so I did a lot of that sort of stuff and TV stuff. And when you first start doing it, it's like super uncomfortable, and it's like you put yourself out of your comfort zone, and then you get used to it, and it's cool. And running's, I think, very much the same as well. That it's like, particularly when you start doing long things like Comrades, and it got me thinking about sort of like stand-up comedy and music and that sort of thing. Like, I bought myself a guitar on Black Friday last year. I've always wanted to be a muso. I think it would be cool. So I've been teaching myself to play guitar. But something that's been sort of gnawing in the back of my mind is I would love to do stand-up comedy. Like, and that is, I think, like, if you're a muso and you're playing in a band, like, there is somewhere to hide because there's other people on stage. But stand-up comedy, it's like you have those nightmares when you're in high school and you dream that you arrive at school and you're naked. I think that might be like the fear of stand-up comedy, is being on stage in front of people and bombing. Tell me a little bit about what goes, like, how hard is it? Like, I don't know if that's the right question, because I think things are relative, but like, how hard the first time you did it to get up on stage? Like, how out of your comfort zone do you have to get to be able to do stand-up comedy? If you're over 50 and want to recover from sessions faster, run pain and injury-free, and improve your endurance, then be sure to join Lindsay and I for our upcoming Faster Beyond 50 Masterclass. In it, we'll show you how we helped a 70-year-old run a 47-minute, 18-second 10K, and how you can take those exact same principles and apply them in your training. Simply scan the QR code that's on screen right now, or click on the link in the description below to save your seat in the training now. We look forward to seeing you there.
It is, I can't explain it. It is unbelievably terrifying. Unbelievably terrifying. Like, even to this day, I've done it now for 12 or 13 years. To this day, you get just as terrified before every single show as you were 5 years ago. It's terrifying. You sit backstage waiting to go on, and then you start visualizing, oh, what if I bomb? What if I bomb? What if I bomb? What if I forget this? What if I forget that? And all these things go through your head. But then, like, the trick is to don't let that go through your head. Visualize the success. Oh, they're going to laugh. They're going to laugh. But for give you an example, my presenter at East Coast Radio, Carol Lafori, we did a comedy show together 2 years ago. So I told her, no, come try comedy. You can be my opening act. And I did a big show at the Barnyard at Suncoast. So she said, okay, I talked her into it. I said, no, you're really funny, because she's really, really funny. So okay, she's going to do 5 or 10 minutes. Get there, whatever, to the event. We're sitting backstage. She wanted to throw up. Now, she is a keynote. She's like a world-class MC, world-class award-winning radio presenter. And she told me never in her whole life, she had marked me absent forever and ever. I will never do comedy for the rest of my life. That is the most terrifying thing I've ever done. She wanted to vomit backstage, and I was trying to make jokes with her, putting funny hats on. She's like, Rory, I'm going to throw up. Stop doing that. And afterwards, she said, never again. Never, ever, ever. The terror you experienced before walking out there, because so many things go through your head. So people have come out to see you. They've paid money to see you. They've left their home on like a cold Friday evening to come and see you. The responsibility and the pressure, like, now they're waiting. They walk into a silent room, and it's your responsibility to make things just happen, and they must all laugh. It's your response, no one else's. And as you said about the thing in the band, you can hide. And there is nowhere to hide. Nowhere. If you bomb, because obviously as a comedian, there are times when you do bomb. Like, it happens to you bomb. Sometimes you just bomb. It happens. We call it dying on stage. You die on stage, and then you just got to find a place to hide and then try and move on from it. But as you once again experience, previously, when you start dying on stage 5 or 6 years ago, you panic and you talk faster and you don't know what to do, and you die more and more. Now, if you start dying on stage, you can stop, reset, and just start somewhere else again. So with experience, you get better and better at, when you see it's not working, you can go somewhere else. But when you are 3 or 4 years in and you've got your prepped set in your head, and now you're going to tell the set in your head, and it's coming out like a script, and you start bombing. You don't know what else to do, because you only got the scripts in your head, and you keep on going, and you just keep going, boom, boom, boom. Then you talk faster, and you panic, and you clutch at straws. Now start bombing, because you've got so much content in your head now from doing comedy for so many years. You can take it to different places. But I would say, okay, your question was, I don't know where I'm going anyway, but your question about comedy, how terrifying it is. If you want to do comedy, the only thing you can do is do comedy. Find a place where they have an open mic somewhere, wherever you live in the world or the country, wherever you are. Find a place where they have an open mic and tell the people there you want to come. And you have to go, you have to commit. So go and tell them, I want to be on the lineup next week. Write your name down. Then there's no way out. That's what I did back in the day in Berge, PE. I found a thing. I put my name down. I said, next month I'm on the lineup. And then they remind me the next day. I was like, oh, shit, I've done this. And then I had to do it. You committed to it. And you're going to bomb the first time. You're going to hate it. Or you might not bomb the first time. But you'll know immediately if you want to do this thing or not. And it never gets less terrifying. Barry Hilton also, I did a show with him on the MSC, one of the music or something 2 years ago. I was backstage with him. And he was pacing around going, oh, I hate this part. I hate this part so much. I hate this part before the show. I was like, Baz, you've been doing this thing for literally 100 years. He goes, Brew, it never gets less terrifying. It never gets less terrifying. And he said, when it isn't terrifying anymore, you must stop doing it because that means you don't care about it. It has to be terrifying because you have to care about what you're doing. You have to care about making those people laugh. So it never, ever, ever gets less terrifying. You just learn how to handle that terror more and to channel it more. And you know also that once you start bombing, if you're experienced, you sort of know where to go. I died so badly, actually opening for Barry Hilton at the Sun Barnyard 4 or 5 years ago. So can I please come open for you, Barry Hilton? He's like, yeah, of course, whatever. Come do 10 minutes. I went up Barnyard, sold out Barnyard, 450 people. Death. But I mean death. Nothing, death. I'm standing there. So eventually I was like, then I called Barry Hilton up. And then I sat in the audience to watch him. And then he referenced me throughout his whole show. He was pointing at me, how I bombed, whatever. And it was horrible. I felt horrible all night. And then after the show, I went to him. I said, Barry, what did I do wrong, bro? I was bombed. He goes, okay. He goes, bro, you were terrible. He just said you were terrible. He goes, you did many things wrong. Your timing was out. You were windgat. You thought you were going to laugh at your jokes before you even made them. But we've done something right now. You've come to me and you said, what did I do wrong? This is the perfect thing you've done because now you've acknowledged that you've died. Most guys would have just left and never come back and never phoned me again. So I said, no, do this, this, and this. And then sort of from that day, sort of became my mentor. And then he came to Durban again 6 months later. Then I thought, do I phone this guy and ask him, can I open again? But what if I die again? This is pressure on me, pressure. So I plucked up the courage, So I phoned him. As he answers, he goes, how's that? Yeah, you can open for me again. Just don't die. I was like, oh, lekker. So then I went to open for him again and I smashed it. He hugged me on the stage. He said, Rory, that was amazing. Well done. And then from there, it just got better and better and better and better. But you know what? It's like Comrades Marathon, I say, you have to have a few DNFs. You have to have one DNF in your thing to know what to do and what you did wrong. It's an experience as well. It's stories. You have to have bombs as a comedian. But if you're thinking about being a comedian, just go and do it. Trust me, go and do it. It gets terrifying, but unbelievably addictive. I love it.
Yeah, Rory, it's so interesting hearing you talk because I think there's so many similarities to running Comrades, to music.
It's much more, for me personally, also much more story-based.
You just got to pluck up the courage and be okay with failing because that is the way you get better.
About moving to Durban, how I moved to Durban, why I moved
you learn
to Durban,
from your mistakes.
The first place I lived there, then I moved to another place in Durban.
But comedy's changed a hell of a lot since
it's much more story-based.
If I think in my adult life, obviously, comedy used to be guys getting up telling jokes. It's a lot more story-based. It's not so much.
Show once,
here's the setup and here's the punchline. There's a lot more to it, and it's evolved a hell of a lot.
And it was just a messy venue. People weren't listening. It was just you had to fight to get voice. In an environment like that, it is impossible to tell a story. No one cares. You start here, and then by the time you get to everyone's looking around. So in those environments, it's best to have punchy you have to have laughs often for the people. So in that story, there's got to be reasons to keep listening. The same as radio, I suppose. When you have radio, you have the TSL time spent listening. Keep me listening. So story-based, yes, but in an audience where they're not really listening, you need that punch. But I love telling stories. Also, if you're telling stories, it's basically the same Rory you see at the bra as the Rory that's on stage. There is no difference. I'll tell the story exactly the same as I'm at the bra, as I'm on. And a lot of times your content comes from that. You'll tell a story and go, that was actually really funny. You're like, I can use that. And what I also do is I record myself on stage every time. I voice record myself. So I listen back to it the next day and listen, okay, that didn't work so well. Okay, I've never told that story, but it worked really well. Let's save that one. So you sort of work on it. Same as running. You use your experiences, you check your numbers, everything. Exactly the same thing. It's basically, you need to treat it like a science. You need to be serious about it and tell your stories, and then what was funny, what wasn't funny, delete what wasn't, work on what was funny. But it is stories. I love telling stories. As you can see, I'm still talking 10 minutes later.
No, Rory, I tell you, this is maybe this is because deep down I want to do stand-up comedy. That's why it's just bringing up so many more questions, and hopefully this is helping someone else, because it's definitely helping me. But obviously, from a musical point of view, like one thing I'm learning as I'm learning to play guitar is the structure of songs and like how things are structured. And I'm presuming comedy is very similar, that there is ways to tell stories and ways to not. What are some of the things that you've learned, like from a structure perspective? Like, what are some of the things you need to bear in mind in order to be like, what makes good stand-up versus okay stand-up?
So what Barry Hilton taught me, very, very like, what he's really, really like exceptional at is not just the storytelling, but his timing. His timing is so good. And you can't explain timing to someone. Like it just,
I
you need
can.
to feel it. It's like it
I
beats. There we
can.
go. Hey?
I can explain timing to
Yes.
you. What's
Do
the
it.
difference between a good joke and a bad joke? Timing.
Yes. There we go. Ah, yeah.
That explains it. So there
Literally.
you go.
Yes, it is. And the timing of beats. There's a sort of like, there's like this beat that goes in your head on stage. Like you sort of know when to drop it. And the time I died on stage with Barry, there was no timing. It was da, 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 da. It was like all over the place. It's that, once again, only from experience. You get from experience. Dave Chappelle, that famous comedian, he said it takes you 10 years to find your voice in comedy. 10 years to find your voice and your style and your rhythm and everything. And he's pretty much correct, because it took me about 10 or 11 years. And before that, you're still playing around. You're trying to be this comedian, trying to be that comedian. You're watching this one. I want to be like this person. Then you try and tell stories like that person. It doesn't work. You have to tell stories. You have to be yourself, basically. Like you have to be yourself. The timing is so important. Practice as well. Like you have to go to. So as a comedian, it's one of those things where you don't get paid a lot all the time. Like very little most of the time. Like you have to go to those dive bars and stuff to test your material out and be paid like 100 Rand, just your petrol money there and back on a Tuesday night, and stay out till midnight to do this. So you have to have the commitment to be able to do that, to know that I'm going to go out on a Tuesday night now, test my material in front of people. Maybe 17 people are in the audience, maybe 7 people are there, because we'll make it look glamorous, like, oh, there's Rory on a big stage. No, that's just once every 6 months. You have to go to the dive bars. You have to go work the material, practice the material, be willing to earn 100 Rand to practice your material. Because people couldn't believe me. Like, so, no, comedy last night. Oh, yes. What did you do? No, this and this. Oh, you're earning a lot of money. Like, no, I wasn't paid for last night. It's like, wait, you went and did a gig and you weren't paid. It's like, yeah, I had to practice my material. Like, never, I'll never do that. I'll never go to a gig and not be paid. But as a comedian, you are being paid by practicing your material. A lot of comedians, I think, what's his name? Conrad Koch, Test the Missing. He often does shows in Cape Town for free, and he says, like, basically like new material shows, and he does them all for free while he's testing his new material, because you have to test new material. You have to know what's going to work, what's not going to work. I use social media a lot for that as well, what works, what doesn't work. But you have to try this stuff out. Like, you have to test it, and it's a slog. It really is a slog. Yeah, but it's great. I love it. So as you can see, like, I flip and love it, and I think you should do it as well. Everyone listening, watching now, you should try stand-up comedy, because you'll love it. If you don't like it, don't do it again. But you'll
Rory, it's so funny. You're talking about telling a story at a braai as an example. Like, I've obviously through my radio and TV career, I've got to know a lot of stand-ups over the years. And I'm not going to mention any names for fear of retribution. But I'm amazed at there's a couple that I'm pretty good friends with that are not funny in real life. They're like pretty dry, they're pretty serious. But as soon as they get on stage, they are hilarious. Like, it's not that they're a different person.
Yes.
Like, and one of them said to me, like, they hate sort of being in an environment where people don't know them, because there's this expectation that they need to be funny because the person knows them from being on stage. Yes. Whereas when they're on stage, they can be funny, but they also are generally not funny all the time. They just find things funny, and when they talk about it on stage, it works. So it's being funny in real life is not necessarily a prerequisite that's going to make you a great stand-up comedian, and vice versa. Just because you're funny at the braai doesn't mean you're going to be funny on stage.
100%. So a lot of comedians, even myself, technically, a lot of comedians, I would say maybe most comedians are actually very introverted. Like, we like to be in our own heads and our own space. Often we like to be creating things in our head. So a lot of us are introverted. So we aren't generally, some of us aren't generally funny, like, at all. We'll walk around really serious, really quiet. But in our heads, there's a billion tabs open where we saving things and calculating things and putting things in, but we might not be funny at that time. So yeah, as you said, you might be funny at a bra, not funny on stage. You might be really boring at a bra, but then really hilarious on stage. Because I think, well, for me, what makes a good comedian or any good content creator, any good creative, is your brain is never switched off. You cannot switch your brain off. There's opportunities everywhere for content, for anything funny. You can make anything content. So my brain is always switched on, listening and scanning stuff. And I'll often take photos on my phone to save things, or quick voice note, listen, and I go listen back later. So yeah, a lot of us spend time listening and watching, and rather than being funny all the time as well. You're scanning. And also, as you said, when someone says that they know you're a comedian, now you must be funny, that also gets quite exhausting as well.
Especially 70 Ks into Comrades, when you feel like you want to die and people are asking you to tell them a joke to make them feel better.
Yes. Like, oh, please, I'm dying. Tell me a joke. But I got around that. Actually, I know what my line is for that. Because I think it was a half dying 70 Ks, and tell me a joke. And then I said, this is a joke. And then it worked. For the next 20 kilometers, that worked as the joke. And that's like, I'm saving that as my joke. This is a joke. Running this is a joke.
Yeah, that's great. That's great when you're using it on the spectators, not when you've been running with the same person for the last 30 Ks and they've heard the joke now 30 times, because that also happens where runners think they're very, very funny and they're chirping the spectators. But if you run the whole way with that same person, you end up hearing that joke about 40 times in a half marathon. And then, the first and second time it was borderline funny, but by the time you've heard it 30 times, it's not funny anymore.
I would get a DNF to avoid that. I would stop and walk. Yeah, I'll get a DNF. I'll just leave. No, I'm done.
I have done that where I was running with someone and they were very, very chatty. And I'm also, Rory, I'm quite introverted at times. So sometimes I just want to be in my own head. And the guy was just asking me tons and tons and tons of questions. And I was like, I have to get away from this guy, like somehow. And then I saw somebody who was on the side of the road, and I was like, oh, there's some family, and I stopped. And the guy who was on the side of the road said, oh, do you need anything? I said, no, I just need 30 seconds to let that guy get away from me so that I'd have to keep running with him, because I couldn't. I would speed up, and then he would speed up, and then I'd slow down, and he would slow down. So I thought the only way I'm going to get rid of this guy is if I actually stop, and it worked. It did work.
That is so relatable. I think everyone has a story like that. That is so relatable. Like, you need an excuse just to, like, oh man, I need to breathe. Like, I can't talk. Like, and people often want, like, I've said this in many videos before, I don't trust people, I don't trust runners who can talk to you while running up a hill. Don't. We're not talking. We're running up a hill, yeah? We're doing one or two things. It's like Suzuki Swift and an aircon. It either goes up the hill or it has the aircon on. I'm the same. I'm Suzuki Swift. I'm either going up the hill or I'm talking. I'm not doing both. And it's difficult to listen. There's a hill, yeah? We're not talking up the hill, please. And even the flat, maybe downhill, we can have a discussion. But on the hill, we can't talk, please. We're fasting for our life. We're fasting for our life, yeah. Like, I'm what's that thing? Critical but stable. Please leave me. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, Rory, you mentioned social media, and that's how you came across my radar. And I think a lot of runners, that's how they've sort of found you, and not just runners. I think general sort of fans of yours. You talk about sort of practicing material, and back in the day, you'd have to go to these dingy dive bars and do 5-10 minutes to see what works and what doesn't. How social media changed the comedy landscape, and this is an opportunity for you to punch your socials too, that if people aren't following you, they can. So tell us a little bit about how you use social media to improve your comedy.
So often, if I have an idea that I think is funny, I'll put it out there, and then people will find it funny, obviously, because it's me. I'm joking. But if it's not funny, it bombs, it's fine. That's fine. I'll delete it. But often what happens is, more often than not, is I'll put a funny thing, a video out, or a funny statement on Twitter or on X, and then people will start commenting. And then from that one statement, I've got now 5 minutes of material. People add other ideas. Like, wait, this is actually really funny. There's a good point. There's a good point. Helps you build the thing. That's really cool. But social media and comedy is a very different space to being on stage and comedy for many reasons. Okay, there's no energy in the room. You can't feel the thing in the room. There's like, comedy relies heavily on the energy and the feeling in the room. And when you walk out onto that stage, you like influence that immediately. If you're really nervous and tense, the whole room is nervous and tense. If you're open and happy, and the whole room is open and happy. So you rely on the energy in the room and the atmosphere of the room, which you don't really get on social media. But I would much rather bomb in front of 10,000 people on a stage than bomb in a video on social media. And the difference is, if you bomb, if you tell a joke that dies, it doesn't work on 10,000 people, after that evening, it's gone. Like, it's gone. No one, they might talk about it for 2 days and it's gone. If you put a video out there that bombs really badly, or you offend someone or something, that is there forever. It's been screenshot, it's been saved, it's been sent to everyone. It's like, oh, that's this cuck comedian, look what he did, look at this cuck video. And that's one video you've done of the millions that were amazing. You do one cuck video and it lives forever. So I'd much rather bomb in real life, but it's like, okay, that's like bombed, whatever. Once you put it on social media, it is there forever. Like that video that you put out there, if it's not funny, if it's stupid, it is there forever. So there's a lot of pressure. And also, the same as, so when I go on stage, most times, when I go out on stage, I know that the content I'm doing, it works. I've done it before. I've manipulated it. I know I'll try new things. Obviously, every show you try new things, but your core content, you've tried it, you know it works. When you put out a video on social media, when I put any video out, I have no idea if it's funny. Like I put it out and I'll go back an hour later and check, oh, geez, 2,000 shares. Okay, obviously this worked. But when I record it in my car and I posted it and I run upstairs and I start doing my work, I have no idea if what I've said is funny. Like, I don't know if it's going to resonate, no idea. And that's the thing on social media, whereas I'll never go out onto a stage like that. Never, ever, ever go out on stage thinking, I hope for the best. Let's see if this is funny. On social media, I'll do it. Like, put a video out. Let's see if it works or not. But you can't do that on stage. Because once again, there's nowhere to hide. Like, so yeah, it's very different being on stage to being on social media. I do use social media a lot to sort of curate my content and craft it in a certain way. Like where else can I take the story? But nothing beats being on a stage. Like nothing beats that real life feeling when people, also during COVID, people wanted me to do, we were doing it because there was nothing else for us to do. But you're doing, so stupid. You're doing comedy on a Zoom camera. And like you have no idea if people are laughing, or they're watching, do they have you on mute and they're cooking their supper. You're like, and you did it and you're telling a story. Do you know how ridiculous it seems when you're telling a story to a screen? Yo, I don't know where that came from. The random thought doing comedy in COVID. Oh, that was because there's no feeling. You rely so much on that room. Like, and also I would rather do a room of 5,000 people. I'm less nervous doing a room of 5,000 people than I am doing a room of 25 people. Much less nervous, because 25 people, you're being judged hard. They're looking at you right there. 5,000 people, you need a few laughs here and there, and it's like it'll spread. 25 people, you walk in and it's just you and 25 people. It is terrifying, because then you start losing someone on their phone. Then you'll focus on this person. Why are they on their phone? Am I not funny? Am I not funny? What's going on? There's someone else. You start focusing on all the bad things. A room of 5,000 people, you walk out there, it's great. You'll hear laughs, much better. The small little audience, it's terrifying. You just feel so judged. But I suppose doing comedy, you walk out there asking to be judged. Please judge me and please find me funny. Oh, my social media, you'll find me. My name is very easy. At Rory Petzer, Petzer, but it is very confusing. Instagram is Rory Mark, because my second name is Mark with a C. Marc. It's very confusing, and I can't change it now because it's going to affect all the SEOs and stuff. But it's at Rory Mark. Find me on Instagram, and then I'll probably put a funny video there tomorrow after my first run since Comrades, if I survive.
Cool. Well, Rory, I'll pop the links to your socials in the description of this podcast as well. So if people want to click through, they can and follow you. As always, I love chatting to you. You're one of the characters on the South African running scene. I love your work, and I look forward to catching up again soon. And good luck for that first run back. I hope you haven't left your legs in that final 10Ks of Comrades.
I hope not. I'll find out tomorrow. Thanks, Brad. It's always like such an honor talking to you guys. Really, really cool. And thanks for all the help. You guys have helped me so much as well, like leading up to Comrades, on Comrades Day as well. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Even when Lindsay tells you to run faster for the last 15K.
It saved me. I was like, I've got lots of time. He's like, no, Rory, you got no time. You better go. And wait, I tell you this. I never told you this. This is very important. Very, very important. Because then I asked, where's Brad? And he was like, oh, Brad's not going to make it today. I'm sorry. Like, so almost like a death, like, that hit me hard. Like, what, he's not going to make it? He's probably going to finish 12:10 or 12:11. And I was like, oh no, broke my heart. And then you finished, like, I don't know, but you told that story. I don't know. You pulled the rabbit.
I was channeling my inner Rudy. That's what it was. You've seen the movie Rudy. I was channeling my inner Rudy the last 10Ks, let me tell you.
Wasn't your last kilometer the fastest of the day? Your fastest kilometer was?
That it was.
That is insane. Like, that is grit. See, that's experience. That's grit and gees and fast bait. That's amazing.
Yeah, fast bait is definitely the word. There was lots of that happening, but I think that's for everyone, Rory. Comrades brings out the best in people, and it takes you to places where you don't think you can go, and then it takes you there so that you can get yourself out of it. And I think that's one of the things that I love about Comrades, and I'm sure you do too, and I think everybody who's listening to this feels exactly the same. It makes you feel like you can do anything. If you can run Comrades, you can take on the world, which is amazing.
I love that. That's amazing. I agree.
Cool. Rory, we'll catch up again soon. We're back again next week. Thanks for listening. Cheers.